Welcome to St. Paul's Sunday School. I'm so happy you're joining us this week. I was so happy to see some of you on the Zoom call this past Sunday. It's always fun for me to see your faces and actually get to talk to you. I love those Zoom calls just to have some interaction with you guys. I really miss that about not being in the church for Sunday school. If you've missed the Zoom call, you can join us on our next Zoom call, which will be in December. We do have a family event coming up, Sunday, November 29th at 10:30. We will be making Advent wreaths. We will be using live greens, and the other supplies that you need will all be supplied by the church. We are asking for a $5 donation to help cover the cost of some of those supplies. If you are planning to attend, I do ask that you sign up on the Google form that I had sent out with the email so that I know how many wreaths we are going to be making, so I can make sure we have enough supplies. The event does take place outside, so make sure you dress for the weather. Again, that's November 29th at 10:30 a.m. We do have 3 ways you can worship each Sunday. One is our YouTube service, which you can watch from our YouTube channel. The second one is our 8 o'clock communion on the lot service. And our third way is our 9:30 sanctuary service. Anytime you are in the church, you do need to wear your mask and socially distance. I am Captain America. I have the superpower of strength and speed and agility. I love being Captain America. Am I really Captain America? No. I just have a t-shirt on that has his shield, and I'm holding a toy shield that my boys used to play with when they were little. But it's fun to pretend to be a superhero and have superhero strength because it's strong and powerful. I also wish I had some superhero powers here at my house sometimes for just some of my household chores. For example, I wish if I was stuck in traffic when I was taking my kids here, there, and everywhere, I wish I could just say a special word and up my car would fly and we could fly over all the traffic and the busyness and get to where we need to be. The biggest thing I wish superpower I wish I could have is a power to do the laundry. I wish I could just go and have my laundry be done. I wish when I would do that my laundry would wash, dry, fold, and put away, and it would be done. That would be awesome for me, because then I'd have more time to spend with my family and do other things, other fun things that are much more fun than doing laundry. Have you ever thought about a superpower you wish you could have? Think about that. Do you know that the Bible is packed with young people who God led to do great things? We're going to actually meet a young person that's about the ages 12 or 13 today. His name is David, and he is going to use some special powers that he was given. And even though he was younger and smaller than his brothers, he wasn't scared or unable to do what he has to do in the story. There's another person that we're going to meet in the story, and that person is Goliath. And Goliath was one of the biggest and tallest people in the Bible. He was almost 9 feet tall. And so that you can maybe figure this out or kind of understand this, I want to show you something in here this is my sunroom. I'm going to turn the camera here a little bit. And right over here, you can see the floor. And this yellow line, and most of you know me and about how tall I am. I'm about 5'3". This line right here is about 5'4". That's about how tall Katie is, right in this area. She's getting pretty tall. She grew a lot lately. And way up close to my ceiling, and I will show you that now. You can see the ceiling. Way up here, and you can see this, where I am, up there, that's about 9 feet tall, and that's how tall Goliath was. So you can think that David was probably about this tall, little tall, and Goliath was 9 feet tall. And so if you want to get a better understanding of that, I encourage you to find a tape measure. And a tape measure, I actually have one laying here for when I was measuring things. This is a tape measure. I encourage you to get a tape measure and measure how far, just even on the floor, you can lay it out and figure out how long 9 feet is, and then you can see maybe how many of your bodies can fit in that area, in that 9 feet long area. And that's something your parents can certainly help you with. Before we get started reading our story, David and Goliath, and learning more about them, let's fold our hands, close our eyes in prayer. Dear God, thank you for always being on our side, and thank you for friends that stand by us and help us stay strong. Please help us learn from today's story. Amen. Today's story comes from the book in the Old Testament named 1 Samuel. There are actually 2 books of Samuel. There's 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel. Today's story is in 1 Samuel, and it's chapter 17. Remember, the chapters are the big numbers. And then you have verses 4 to 11, and then you jump over to verse 32 to 50. You can certainly, if you're reading from the regular Bible, read the whole thing, but you do not have to. You can read just those 2 sections, verses 4 to 11 and verses 32 to 50, to get the idea and the main idea of the story today. I am going to read it from the Spark Story Bible this week. And as I read, or as you read, or as you listen to me read, I want you to listen for the type of weapons that David and Goliath both used in the story, or had. They may not have used them, but what did they have? All right. David and Goliath. King Saul and his army looked out from their mountain hideout. Their enemies, the Philistines, were camped on the opposite mountain. In the valley between stood Goliath, the tallest man Saul had ever seen. "Who will fight me?" Goliath roared, waving his spear. "Who will face this mighty Goliath?" he shouted, lifting his sword. Saul and his army were afraid. They could not win against the Philistines. They could not beat Goliath. Surely they would be captured and become slaves. A beam of sunlight bounced off Goliath's bronze helmet. His voice shook the leaves in the trees. All the birds hid behind their branches. "Send out your best warrior," Goliath ordered. "Let him fight against me. If I win, you will be our slaves. If your soldier wins, we will serve you and your God." Saul waited. No one stepped forward to take Goliath's challenge. Saul felt a small tug of his sleeve. Looking down, he saw David, a young shepherd boy. You can see that in the picture on the page. There is David tugging at Saul's sleeve. "I will do it, King Saul," David said. "I will fight Goliath." "You are a boy. How can you beat a gigantic man like Goliath?" Saul turned to go. "Wait, King Saul," David said. "God protects me from the wolves and bears that go after my sheep. God will protect me now too." David reached down and picked up 5 smooth stones. In his right hand, he carried the same sling he used to chase away the wolves and wild animals. Saul patted David's head and pointed down the rocky path leading to the valley. Goliath laughed when he saw David. "You are the warrior they send out against me?" David slipped his hand into his pouch and selected a stone. "I am not afraid of your spear or sword, Goliath," David said. "God will help me." David rushed toward Goliath, swinging his sling. The smooth stone flew through the air and hit Goliath in the forehead. Down, 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 Goliath fell. Down fell his sword. Down fell his spear. Down fell his mighty shield. God picked up Goliath's bronze helmet from the ground and held it high in the air. Saul and all his soldiers rose up with a shout. David, a small shepherd boy, had beaten the mighty Goliath. When the Philistines saw that Goliath had fallen, they were afraid and ran away. Trusting in God gave David courage when he needed it most. So David, even though he was shorter than I am, fought somebody that was much, much bigger than he was. He didn't have any special powers like the superheroes we talked about earlier. He also didn't have any fancy weapons, did he? I'm gonna show you something. Let's see if I can hold all of these. I got these out of my one garden, and I'm gonna put them back there. But as you can see, I have 5 smooth stones. I have 5 smooth stones because David had used stones. It said he had 5 smooth stones in his pocket, and a sling. He could, which kind of like helped throw the stones instead of just using his hand. They could go farther, like a slingshot. But I want you, for each stone I show you, I want you to tell me, or think about, since you can't really tell me, one weapon Goliath had. So here's the first stone. Stone number 1 could represent the helmet Goliath wore to protect his head. Smooth stone number 2. This could represent and be the spear, the pointy spear, almost like an arrow that Goliath carried as a weapon. This smooth stone, number 3, could represent the shield, similar to Captain America's shield, that Goliath carried to protect him from anything that was coming his way. Smooth stone number 4 could represent the height, his big stature, or his height. He was so tall and big and strong that people were afraid of him just by looking at him. And smooth stone number 5 could represent his strength, because he was not only just tall, but he was strong and mighty. But that didn't, though all of those things that David saw when he looked at Goliath, he knew that his strength came from God, and that God would be on David's side as he fought Goliath. And that's exactly what happened. David trusted God, and God gave him courage and helped him win the fight. And we have to remember that as people, that when we have a tough day or we are struggling with something, we need to trust God and that He will help us and that God is always by our side. I'd like you to take some time to get 5 cups. I just have, or not 5, 9 cups. And 9 cups are kind of representing that Goliath was 9 feet tall. And I'm gonna move the camera just a little bit so you can see the table. And I am going to stack my cups, and they're paper cups. So I'm gonna stack 3 across. You know what, I'll do it this way so you can see it a little better. And then I'm gonna stack them this way. This takes some balance. So for some of you that are a little bit younger, you might need some help with this part. And then I'm gonna stack them on top. Let's see if Mrs. Cox can do this without them falling over. There we go. If I did try before I started recording to stack all 9 high, and they kept falling over. I'm not sure why so you could try stacking them 9 high to show that he was 9 feet tall. And then I just got little squares of construction paper. It could be any paper. Cut them and crumpled them so that I had 5 stones to throw at my cups. Let's see if I can knock my cups over and win the fight against Goliath. That represents Goliath, and this represents David. So you just throw your stones against them. Oh, that one got stuck. Let's see if I can do it. I have 1 left. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, almost. But I did break the wall. And you can see if you can do that. Now, I hope you have fun doing that activity. We do have your pamphlets again this week. The younger kids, you have this pamphlet, and it has a little story on the front, and it retells the story, and one of your stickers goes there. The other stickers goes in here with the Bible verse. On the inside, and even my older kids, you could design your own shield as well if you make one. But it has a shield, just like Goliath had a shield. But it says, God is with, and then you write your name there. God is with Mrs. Cox, or God is with John, or God is with Bronson, or John is with Lily, or Eliza. It could be any one of you. And God is with you, and then you can decorate your shield however you'd like your shield to look. And you also have a word search. And then over here on the back, it shows you some different animals and how tall they are. So you can see, like, this is a child and a giraffe. And then maybe you can even measure yourself and write down how tall you are. And then you can kind of compare it to them. Or even just think about if you've ever been to a zoo and saw an elephant or a giraffe. All right. And then my older kiddos that have the smaller pamphlet, you can read the story on the front. On the inside, the first one is picture this. Some of these items are in today's Bible story and some aren't. Circle the items that appeared in the story. So you can think back or go back to the story in the Bible and read it and see which ones were in the story and circle those. Always fun to read the fun facts. The one says, it is believed that David was about 13 years old when he fought Goliath, just like I said earlier today. And this one's kind of fun for my older kiddos. And if you don't want to do the cup activity, you can cut this out and then fold it. It tells you in the directions, but you have to then kind of fold it and make it round so it sits up. You attach the 2 points in the back. And then you can try and throw paper stones at Goliath and see if you can knock it over. And then on the back, you always have the faith on the go. I hope that you remember as you go about your week that God is always by your side. It doesn't matter if you're having a good day, a bad day, it doesn't matter. But God is always by your side. And you can take 1 or 2 minutes if you're having a bad day at school. Even some of you are going to school, and if you're having a bad day, in your head, you can say a little prayer and say, God, please just help me. I'm having a rough day. And of course, you can always thank God too, but you have to remember that when you're having a day where you're struggling, God is there for you too. He's not just there in the good times, but he's there when we're struggling. So let's end our lesson today by folding our hands and closing our eyes. Dear God, sometimes the world seems very big and we feel really small. But whether our troubles are big or small, We trust that you can handle them. Amen. I hope you had fun today with today's lesson, and I hope you continue watching each week. One thing I forgot to mention in the beginning is you should soon be getting your next pack of Sunday school materials, because I think you only have, after the David and Goliath, I think that might be your last one, or you might have one more. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But I did send in my email, I said to your parents, I talked about picking up your materials. So make sure that you ask mom and dad, say, hey, do I have my next set of materials? And then this time they're not going to come in a folder, so you can put them in the folder you already have, okay? So I hope that you can pick those up. Have a great week.